You probably think you need at least $1 million to finally retire or feel financially free, right? Well, let me stop you right there. According to a recent Fidelity study, most Americans actually say the magic number is $1.7 million for a comfortable retirement. But here's the shocker. Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, a guy worth hundreds of millions, claims you could reach true financial independence with just $500,000, less than a third of what the typical survey shows. But does that number actually hold up in 2024 with rising costs, inflation, and everything else that's changing? You're about to see the step-by-step breakdown with real numbers, side-by-side examples, and the proven system that reveals exactly how enough can be way closer than you think. Ready to challenge everything you've been told about wealth? Let's dig in. Let me paint you a picture. When people talk about wealth, the numbers that come to mind are often huge: 1 million, 5 million, maybe even more. But what if I told you that feeling secure, free, and comfortable isn't about reaching someone else's definition of rich for Mark invests? And more importantly for you, it's about personal clarity, knowing what really matters and matching your money to those priorities. And that's not just my 2 cents. Financial powerhouses like Kevin O'Leary, the blunt-talking entrepreneur known from Shark Tank, say the same thing. O'Leary has amassed an estimated $400 million net worth blending business savvy, strategic investing, and a personal brand that's everywhere. What's surprising is that rather than pushing extravagant wealth as the goal, O'Leary consistently stresses simplicity and knowing what enough looks like. Here's where people get stuck. Too often, people chase a lifestyle and a number that isn't really theirs. For one person, wealth means luxury cars, designer fashion, and a mansion with a sweeping view. For another, it's about always having the bills paid, living in a cozy home, and enjoying more time, not more stuff. These lifestyles, obviously, come with very different price tags. Before we dive into the money math, here's our first curiosity loop. Which vision, honestly, matches what you want? Is it the flashy or the simple? I'll show you why that answer is way more important than the dollar amount you've been taught to chase. Let's break this myth down with the Find Your Enough number framework. You can follow this no matter where you live or how much you make. Step 1. Define your lifestyle target. What does comfortable look like? Travel twice a year, paid off home, eating out or home-cooked meals. Get specific, because every added detail raises your true cost. Step 2. Calculate your annual living costs. Add up the biggies: housing, food, transportation, insurance, health care. Don't forget line items like property tax, occasional car repairs, hobbies, and a buffer for surprise expenses. For example, let's take a real cost case. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average annual expenditure for a single person in the U.S. is about $48,000 in 2024, while for a couple, it's closer to $68,000. But those numbers drop dramatically in rural areas or with smart downsizing. So your target could be far less. Step 3. Map your income sources. Will you have Social Security, a pension, a paid-off home, side gigs? Or will you rely 100% on investments? Get everything down on paper, because the income side is often as important as what you'll spend. Step 4. Run the safe withdrawal rate calculation. You need your invested nest egg to generate enough income, ideally without depleting the principal. This is where that $500,000 figure gets real. So let's run the numbers. But before we do, pause for a second and comment below. What's your personal enough number? Do you think it's higher or lower than $500,000? Let's see how our community stacks up. And maybe you'll be surprised by what you learn from others. Now let's do the math, O'Leary champions. If you invest $500,000 in fixed income products, think government bonds, high-yield savings, or low-risk alternatives. Average returns are about 5% annually. That passively throws off $25,000 per year. You're not touching the principal, just living on the interest. Want more? If you're willing to take moderate risk, blending stocks, like an S&P 500 index fund and bonds. O'Leary and many financial advisors say you could target between 8.5% and 9% on a $500,000 portfolio. That's $42,500 to $45,000 a year. Not bad, right? But is it enough? That depends on your lifestyle and where you live. Here comes a visual pattern break. Picture a simple chart on screen. On one side, a single person in Chicago renting an apartment with total costs, including moderate entertainment and travel, averaging about $3,500 a month or $42,000 annually. On the other, a couple living in rural Florida with low local taxes, owning their home outright, spending under $2,800 a month or about $34,000 a year. In both cases, a $500,000 portfolio earning 8.5% could provide core spending money, especially when supplemented with Social Security, pensions, or even a small side hustle. But in Chicago, the cushion is thinner. Saving strategies or a higher starting portfolio may be needed. See how these scenarios shift the math. This is where regional cost of living data matters. According to Numbeo and NerdWallet's 2024 calculator, retiring comfortably in Boston, for example, might require over $72,000 a year, while in rural Tennessee, basic living clocks in at $30,000 to $35,000. Lifestyle and location change everything. That's why there's no single magic number, but the right strategy gives you a clear road. Step 3 of our framework, then, is all about comparing your real needs to your available income streams. If Social Security provides an average of $1,900 per month per person, that's $22,800 a year. For a couple, $45,600 guaranteed by the federal government. Source: Social Security Administration. Add that to your investment returns, and suddenly the picture brightens. $25,000 from fixed income plus $45,600 in Social Security for a couple already tops $70,000 a year. Enough for a comfortable life in the majority of USIT regions. But here's a curiosity loop for you. What about inflation? Wouldn't rising prices eat away at your spending power? Even if your account balance seems stable, absolutely. This is one of the main risks with a flat portfolio. If your $500,000 isn't also growing each year, the same 5% or 8% return becomes worth less and less over time. Historically, U.S. inflation averages around 3% annually. To truly maintain your lifestyle month after month, your investments need to generate both enough income to spend now and some growth to keep pace with future costs. That's why, for most people, reinvesting a portion of the returns or increasing stocks in your portfolio becomes important, especially if you want your wealth to last decades, not just years. A quick pattern break. Let's run a sample safe withdrawal calculation together. The classic guideline suggests withdrawing 4% of your nest egg per year, which academic research backs as a reasonable shot at not running out of money over 30+ years. Source: Trinity Study. So, 4% of $500,000 is $20,000 a year. If you're careful and returns are average or better, you might raise this up to 5%. But always keep the risk guardrails in mind. Drop a money bag below if you're going to try this safe withdrawal math with your own numbers. Now let's reality check. Will everyone be able to retire on $500,000 and never work again? No, of course not. If you support a big family, live in a high-cost metro, or plan for luxury travel every year, $500,000 may not stretch as far as you'd like. But for many disciplined, creative people, especially those willing to trim their biggest case or settle in more affordable places, it moves what felt impossible within reach. A common trap that Kevin O'Leary points out, and which I couldn't agree with more, is risking your precious capital chasing big, unproven opportunities. How many times have we heard about someone investing their savings in a family member's restaurant, bowling alley, or other dream small business, only for it to end up closing within a few years? The raw statistics are harsh. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, about 50% of small businesses fail within 5 years. And restaurants have even higher risk if your goal is financial independence, not gambling. Preserving your hard-earned savings should be your priority. So here's a micro call to action. If you want to run your true enough calculation and see your target number based on where you live and your lifestyle, download the free financial independence calculator link below. Input your living costs, location, savings rates, and investment preferences to get a tailored plan. Now, a quick caution. Everything discussed so far assumes average market returns and no dramatic economic upheaval. Financial markets fluctuate, returns aren't guaranteed, and what works for one person might not for another. In fact, this entire discussion is for educational purposes only, not financial advice. Past performance doesn't predict future results, and real-world needs will always be unique. Please consult a qualified advisor before making big investment decisions. Let's keep moving. We're almost at the finish line of our Find Your Enough Number system. Step 5, reevaluate annually, because life doesn't stand still. Rents go up, health evolves, and your goals will shift. Get honest about impulse purchases. The less you funnel into things you later regret, the faster your wealth compounds. People who downsize, skip the latest cars, eat at home, or cut the little leaks in spending almost always discover that they're not just saving money, they're gaining peace of mind. That mental freedom, especially as you leave behind paycheck to paycheck stress, is the real prize. To drive this home, financial independence is not about stacking cash forever. Once your investments can support your lifestyle, factoring in risks, returns, and inflation. Shift gears from accumulation to maintenance. That's the unlock most people miss, in some, O'Leary, myself. And countless real people living quiet, abundant lives believe this truth. Freedom is much closer than you've been led to believe. Sometimes it's just a number away. Or as I always put it on Mark Invests, financial freedom isn't about millions. It's about knowing your number, then making it real. Let's do a quick recap. We shattered the myth that you need millions to be financially independent. Instead, by following our 5-step Find Your Enough Number system, defining your lifestyle, adding up real spending, comparing income sources, running the safe withdrawal math, and reviewing often, you can map a path to freedom that fits your life, not someone else's. Your immediate next step: list your core expenses and ask yourself what comfortable really means for you. This week, run your unique numbers through the free calculator linked below to see where you stand. Over the next 30 to 90 days, track how small habit changes like meal prepping or reviewing your subscriptions move your plan forward. Over the next year, adjust as your life and costs shift. Checking in every 6 to 12 months so your enough stays real, not just an old guess. You'll see small wins week by week, maybe a lower grocery bill, or the first month you don't stress when the rent or mortgage is due. In a year with consistent intentionality, you could have total clarity on your personal independence number and a plan mapped to real data, just like we modeled today. For your next action, download the Financial Independence Calculator below to calculate your target. Subscribe and join the Mark Invest community for weekly breakdowns of practical finance strategies. Next up, how to recession-proof your retirement. And if something in this video changed how you're thinking about your money goals, comment below. Was your original enough higher or lower than $500,000? Let's build a smarter future for everyone here. Remember, this was for educational purposes only, not investment advice. Average returns vary, and your unique needs always matter most. Always consult a qualified advisor before making investment moves.